Hello everyone, and welcome back. There are places in this world that we've grown accustomed to, that we've attached a comfort and a familiarity with. These places often fill us with some form of nostalgia, some sort of happiness from when we were younger, and they've kind of resonated with certain people as they've grown older. But sometimes underneath all the performative happiness and mascots, there's something that lurks a little bit more sinister, something that we just can't quite explain. Tonight I want to explore the allegedly true paranormal encounters from employees and managers and security guards from America's favorite fast food restaurant, McDonald's. When I was younger, McDonald's had some sort of special minor role in my life, I suppose. I appreciate the mascots. I don't think they have those anymore. But when you're younger, you get the Happy Meal with the toy and everything, and it's nice. You get home and you open it up, and it's something you've been looking forward to all day. The smell was familiar. They had the play place, which I don't think they have that anymore either. But I even remember when they had the Nintendo 64. And that was fun. But as you can imagine, something so innocent and happy and carefree, sometimes there's something darker underneath, you know? Anyways, let's get into the stories. On March 14th in 2009, 3 employees were working the night shift at a local 24-hour McDonald's in Mobile, Alabama. After a storm had knocked out nearby power in the town, they were forced to close the 24-hour McDonald's at roughly 2 a.m. While they were closing up, one of the employees looked out the window while the rain was pouring, and they noticed a woman pressed up against the glass looking in at them. The lady was obviously soaked, and her hair was matted to her face, and she was almost in some sort of trance, just staring directly at the dining room. When the employee turned around to grab the mop, he noticed that the woman appeared in the reflection behind them, inside the restaurant. And when he turned around, the lady was nowhere to be seen. Nobody in the dining room, nobody pressed up against the glass, just gone. The employees didn't hear any door open, any alarm sound, but apparently when he checked the footage, he saw that the lady was indeed standing outside by the glass, but she only appeared there for 13 seconds before disappearing frame by frame. So, I don't know if it was some lady that got swept up in the storm and was looking for a place to stay, or maybe it was her ghost trying to find some sort of escape, you know? In 2013, an overnight cashier was working the night shift at a McDonald's in Des Moines, Iowa. The cashier was just standing around trying to pass time during his night shift at McDonald's when he heard footsteps approach register 3. He heard a calm voice then say, "Just coffee," but nobody was there. Nobody was in the restaurant. He was all alone during the night shift. Nobody had snuck in to try to scare him. He was all alone. As he was looking around for who or what it might be, the register rang itself up, and a receipt printed. And when he looked at it, sure enough, 1 coffee. The employee obviously unplugged the register, but at exactly 3:33 a.m. that very night, the register turned itself back on. You know, a lot of folks say that 3:33 is the witching hour, and that 3 a.m. is some sort of catalyst for weird things to happen, so that could have been the case in this scenario. You know, I've had similar experiences with this 3 a.m. phenomenon. I had a bowl of cereal that I finished, but I left on top of the stairs outside my door, and it was roughly 3 a.m. when I had woken up to the sound of the spoon spinning around inside the bowl right outside my door. I woke up and I couldn't tell what the sound was, and it clicked. It literally sounded like a spoon spinning in a ceramic bowl. And I heard that, and I was fully awake. This wasn't a dream or anything, but I put my ear to the door and I could distinctly hear that sound. And when I opened the door, the spoon obviously wasn't spinning in the bowl anymore, but it stopped. But it was it was the weirdest thing. Still one of the weirdest things I would say that's ever happened to me in my entire life. I don't know if it was a ghost or a possessed spoon or God, who knows, Could have been some freak gust of wind, who knows, but still I would say top 5 weirdest things that have ever happened to me. So, yeah. Let's move on. On January 22nd in 1998, a local manager was closing up during the night shift at the local McDonald's in Toledo, Ohio. He was going through his nightly checklist when all of a sudden he heard crying coming from the play place at this McDonald's. When he pushed the doors open to the play area, he noticed that the crying was coming from the ball pit at the front. When the man got closer, he noticed that the balls in the ball pit started shifting almost purposefully, but there was no child there. There was no child in the play place at all. There was nobody even in the restaurant. The doors were locked and everything was pretty much ready to close, but nobody was there. I read that as he left the play place, he turned and he saw 2 handprints appear on the tunnel wall. The tunnel wall that was sitting above the ball pit. He saw 2 handprints appear and disappear. But apparently soon after that they sealed off the play place and they got rid of it entirely. I guess sometime in the early 2000s McDonald's was going through a big renovation, so pretty sure they got rid of most of the play places. I think there's one in my town that still has one, but for the most part they're all gone. This story kind of reminds me of this photo that I saw a few years ago where this lady was at a local McDonald's and she took a photo of her child in the play place, and her kid was up in one of those tunnels above the ball pit with the little window in it, and in the photo you can see her daughter there, but next to her daughter was this terrifying disfigured face, like it was some sort of a ghost child or something, But I remember that one. That reminds me of this. And I can't imagine seeing that. That's absolutely terrifying. And they should make a movie about that, or a game, where you're trapped in a play place and there's some terrifying entity chasing you, That'd be cool. Anyways, moving on. In May of 2002 in Fresno, California, a local McDonald's employee kept clocking into his shift even after death. The employee was unfortunately killed in a tragic car accident, but the 3 weeks after that, he kept clocking in and out of his shift at McDonald's. His name appeared on the time clock. His locker was constantly open, and his apron was always neatly folded at the end of the night next to his locker. When management checked the security footage, they noticed that the door to the break room would open and close, but nobody was there. When they finally removed his name from the system, apparently the activity completely ceased. It just stopped. So I guess you can say the man was fired in the afterlife. It's a little sad when you think about it. The guy loved his job so much that he kept showing up for it even after he had died. So to be fired or dying kind of sucks, But I can't imagine a job that I love so much that I would just keep showing up even after death. I guess I would have to really like the people I work with, But may he rest in peace. And the last one I'll talk about tonight was from a man that worked at a local McDonald's in San Antonio, Texas back in 2018. The worker was stocking the walk-in freezer with patties and fries when he heard muffled screams from behind the walls inside the walk-in freezer. The man described the screams as being desperate and human, as if someone was being tortured or is crying out for help from behind the walls. The weird part was he would only hear the screams from outside of the freezer, so when he was walking patties back to the freezer and the door would close, he would hear the screams. But when he opened the door, the screams would just stop. In the story, it's claimed that he saw faces made of frost lining the inside of the walls of the walk-in freezer. I guess almost similar to A Nightmare on Elm Street when Freddy Krueger's face is coming through the wall to terrify Nancy. Not to that degree, but just the outlines. You know, many long-standing McDonald's chains kind of share the same rumor. Either they were built over old Indian burial grounds or cemeteries, or just something where something terrible happened. You know, those McDonald's, they have some weird activity inside of them. Echoes from the past, I guess, but I guess what I'm saying is that McDonald's never really closes. You know, the employees, they turn off the lights, they lock the door, and they go home, but whatever activity is there remains there. And if you've ever worked a night shift or overnight shift in a weird, sketchy place, you probably know what I'm talking about. You never really forget it. So I think I'm gonna go down to my local McDonald's right now and maybe get a hot and spicy and a McDouble. I just still wish they had their dollar menu. But anyways, thanks for watching, folks, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good night. Bye.